Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at wagertalk.com, and all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo. I am your host, Ronald Cabang, also known as UCapper on SportsMemo.com and at UCapper Sports on Twitter. I'll be joined by Moneyline Matt once again today to finish off the week on a strong note. We've had a really strong week so far on the show. Hopefully we make it our best bets going like I feel like it's 6-0 now. But we'll be breaking down 3 games today. But before we do that, we do got to talk about some promos. We got the Super Bowl to Super Bowl all access package. This means you get all sports, all plays, all 5% bets from now until Super Bowl 57 next year from your favorite sports memo handicappers. That deal does equate to around $3 a day. So the sooner you get it, the better the deal, because your access starts as soon as you purchase the package. It is $1,199, which is $800 less than the regular value of the package. Like I said earlier, it equates to about $3 a day for 1 day all access, which you compare to the normal price of $39 for a 1 day all access pass. You're getting an amazing deal here, and you can find that over on sportsmemo.com. So make sure you check out the site after the show here. Also, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button before you go. It only takes a couple clicks, and it helps us tremendously on our show to grow a little bit more than we have so far this year. I think from the beginning of the year till now, we've definitely gotten a lot more viewers, and we want to continue going in that way. With that said, let's get Matt here. Matt, I was talking about in that intro that we've been doing really hot here on the Triple Double Show with our best bets. I just want to make sure. I just don't want to jinx ourselves. You know what I mean? Like this is today's a funky slate. It's Freaky Friday. It's a funky slate. There's not much for me that I liked, but I think hopefully we just have some momentum on our side and we see the board well for the rest of the day. I know we got to wait for some injuries. There's a lot of injury issues that are really important, right? There's Halliburton is on the second leg of back-to-back. He's important to watch. The Fox News, he's out. There's a lot of stuff going on, but yeah, we'll see how it goes today. How's your week been so far?
Yeah, it's been a great week for me, honestly. It's been a really nice bounce back week. Like we've talked about on this show, we are always transparent, and I'm 8-1 on the week to this point, keeping things nice and simple, just putting out my 2 or 3 best bets every single day, and it's been going very well. And as you talked about, the best bets on this show have been on fire. I think we're looking to sweep the board this week. We made some nice calls on Wednesday, taking the Timberwolves to beat the Golden State Warriors and things of that nature. So like you said, just looking to keep it rolling today. Again, not the best slate in the world in terms of like totals or spread picks that I'm going after, but you guys know I love those high totals. I love those pace-up matchups. So I do have some player props that I'm definitely eyeing going into tonight.
Yeah, and I think one of the teams here that you like to keep your eye on is the Hornets. That is the first game that we're going to be talking about here. The Hornets and the Pistons. Hornets coming off of that loss last night to the Bulls. Second leg of back-to-back road games. Last of a 3-game road trip. So they've been traveling here. Third game in 4 nights as well. Bad spot in general for them. That's one thing that we call out a lot in this show. Pistons, they are well rested. They haven't played since the road loss to the Mavs on Monday. They were stuck there overnight, right? Because they were supposed to play the Wizards, I believe, at home, but they got stuck in Dallas because of the snowstorm. So they are well rested. They have lost 6 of the last 7 games, though. This is their first leg of back-to-back games for them. They do have the Suns on deck tomorrow. As far as injuries, Oubre is out. Cody Martin is questionable. Bagley and Joseph out for the Pistons there. Matchup-wise, Pistons did win the first one, and they covered the first matchup, 141-34. High points, high total there, but they did go into OT. They were 4.5-point dogs. Now they're 1.5-point favorites at home, so they flipped the script on that. Matt, what is your thought on this game here? Are you going to look towards player props in this one?
Yeah, my best bet is actually from this game. I have a player prop that we'll be talking about a little down the line, but I do have another total bet that I actually do like here. And, this is a spot where the Charlotte Hornets are traveling on the road to face off against the Detroit Pistons. And both teams right now, some of the worst in basketball, both teams coming off 2 losses in a row. And both teams have some of the worst defenses throughout the entire NBA. And, when we've been on this show, we've been talking about these 240-point totals and taking the unders. The past couple days, I've actually been hammering the 240-point totals and taking the unders.
Yep.
This spot, however, I'm actually leaning the other way, and I'm leaning to go the over 241, and here's why. This is a Detroit Pistons team when at home on the season, they're 15-10 to the over. As for the Charlotte Hornets, when they're on the road, they're 19-11 to the over. The Hornets run the 6th highest pace in all of basketball, and like we talked about, every single time we come on this show and we talk about this Hornets pace, it increases with every single week because of LaMelo Ball. This team just gets faster and faster. And then this is a Detroit Pistons team who actually does run the 12th highest pace, so still an uptick style team. And, more importantly, though, this is a Pistons team who actually has the 29th overall defense throughout the entire NBA, and this Charlotte Hornets team is 26th. And then when you look at this Pistons team a little bit further, they actually have 3 players in their starting lineup that are ranked bottom 10 throughout the NBA in defensive efficiency. That's Bojan Bogdanovic, Jaden Ivey, and Sadiq Bey. And you hear those names and you automatically think LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier. Those are the guys who are the primary ball handlers, primary usage guys, volume shooters. So it's tough not to see a good game from LaMelo Ball or Terry Rozier in this spot. And then again, with LaMelo Ball, he's really been elevating his game at this point in time. He had a triple-double 2 games ago. And, this is just another one of those spots where it really does fall into LaMelo's game. And then on the other hand, you look at someone like Mason Plumlee. The Detroit Pistons are one of the worst teams throughout the NBA in terms of guarding the center position. I looked at that. A Mason Plumlee double-double tonight is minus 130. I think that's a great bet. I know it's a little bit juiced, but if you want to, you can do like an alternative point total, maybe go to 12 points and 10 rebounds. I bet you that would be even money right there. But again, Pistons team that is very weak in numerous positions defensively, and I think the Hornets can take advantage tonight. And, the Hornets as well, not very good defensively. So for me, I'm actually going to go with the over 241 here. I know it's high, but I think this game is scorching fast and has very, very little defense.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I wanna let you know that the total is coming down, so it is sort of going in our favor here. We did talk about this week that the 240s have been going under lately, and I think it's coming down to 239.5. The more it comes down, the more I agree with you here with the over here. If you look at some of the trends and angles, the Hornets they're 2-5 straight up, 3-1 ATS, 3-4 to the under, but nothing significant there. But if you look at the average points. Average scored 107, allowing 112.9 per game. Only one of those games went over today's current total. But if you look at who they're playing against, they were teams that played solid defense, slow-paced teams. So that's something that we look at as far as like, I guess you could throw those away because we're looking at comparables, right? Hornets as road dogs, 5-21, straight up 11-12-3 ATS, 17-9 to the over. If they're the road dog, if they focus in on when they face teams with a losing record, so we're looking at comparable teams, 1-9 straight up, 2-7-1 ATS, 6-4 to the over. They're averaging close to 235 a game, and some of those totals were not even as high as the one that we're seeing today. So for me, I feel like their defense struggles in that spot. But on the other side, we look at the Pistons. They also struggle defensively in their spot as well. So we're seeing 2 teams struggling on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, the Hornets do play a faster pace. Pistons at home versus teams with a losing record, 6-4 straight up, 6-3-1 ATS, also 7-3 to the over. Pistons as well on the second versus teams on the second leg of back-to-back games. If they are rested, they're 4-1 straight up and against the spread there. In all 4 games, they won by at least 8 points, and 2 of those games were by exactly 20. So they were able to win by double digits. And the teams that they beat, Warriors, Heat, Magic, and Nets. Warriors, Heat, Magic, and Nets. Those are, I would say Magic isn't a top-tier team, but I would say the Warriors, Heat, Nets, they're pretty good teams in my opinion, regardless of what their records show. I think they are pretty good teams. So I feel like this is a spot where I would probably lean towards the Pistons here and the over. Both teams, like you mentioned, the defense is not. I don't think is going to show up today. So we're going to see some offense. We're going to see some fast pace play, and hopefully the Pistons cover that 1.5 point spread. They're not home favorites often, so I would think that the books did this for a specific reason, and I think it's because they're probably going to win. What are your thoughts on the side? I know we talked about the total there.
Yeah, honestly, if I were to go one way, I think it would actually be with my Pistons here. I think this is just a spot where the Pistons might come and play some good basketball against the Hornets. And like you said, the Hornets are coming off of that back-to-back. They're somewhat of an inconsistent team on top of that. So I think I would be with the Pistons.
Yep. I like it. I mean, it's an ugly game to be honest, but the Pistons was actually this is actually probably like my favorite look so far. Like last night, but I did more research this morning, and I picked up another best bet. We'll talk about it later, but let's move on to this Kings Pacers one here. Kings, they've won and covered 2 straight, fourth game of a 7-game road trip. This is a long road trip for them. They've actually gone under in 7 straight games, which is, I believe, people probably wouldn't have thought that thinking about the Kings here. Pacers on the other side, Pacers lost 11 of the last 12, but Halliburton did come back last night. They did cover the game. I was on that game. I got the plus 2.5. So luckily they didn't blow the lead so much that they ended up losing by 3. They did only lose by 1 point. Second leg of back-to-back games, also second of a 3-game homestand with the Cavaliers up next. This is one of the games that I was thinking about as far as the injury report. We probably want to wait for, right? Because for now, the injury report says Fox is out, personal reasons. I believe it's because his wife is having a baby. And Duarte is out for the Pacers. Hallie just came back yesterday. And this is a second leg of back-to-back games. He missed, I don't know, like 10 games or so. So I think this is one that we wait to see if Hallie plays. What are your thoughts on this one, Matt?
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. This is a tough spot to kind of determine what way you want to go without someone like Tyrese Halliburton. And on top of that, without De'Aaron Fox in this matchup, it's kind of tough to tell that as well. And with Tyrese Halliburton, whether he plays or whether he does not play, this spread is going to move. But personally, I'm with the Indiana Pacers getting the points in this spot regardless of Tyrese Halliburton being in or Tyrese Halliburton being out. Obviously, you want Halliburton to play, but again, to your point, Ron, when last night was his first game back, played very, very well on top of that. Probably had close to 25 points, 10-plus assists, and definitely got more minutes than what I thought he would get. When I was looking at that game, I was looking at his props, and I was indecisive just for the fact that, okay, this is his first game back. Is he going to be on a restriction? Is he going to, get checked out early, whatever it may be. And tonight, it's kind of the same story, especially with it being a back-to-back. And, this is a game where you see trends from both sides. The Sacramento Kings are 15-8 against the spread when on the road, and the Pacers are a very good home team, 17-10 against the spread while at home. And this is a matchup, the Pacers and the Kings, where when they face off, I always like to tune in and watch just because stylistically, these are two teams who are very, very similar. They both like to push the pace, run a high-tempo offense, and obviously with the Pacers, it's that much more important with Tyrese Halliburton because this team slows down dramatically when Tyrese Halliburton is not in the game. And, they do have quality backups. They have someone like TJ McConnell who can come in and facilitate the basketball. They have guys like Benedict Mathurin and Buddy Hield who can go off, streaky shooters. Miles Turner is playing a lot better of basketball. And, when you take a look at this Kings team, without De'Aaron Fox, I still think they're very capable of getting their offense going, facilitating the basketball, things of that nature. I just think it'll run through Domantas Sabonis a lot more. And, without De'Aaron Fox having the ability to come in and push that pace, I like this Pacers team to be able to cover this spread. And once again, I like it with or without Halliburton. I think this is just a Pacers spot here. I understand that they had a heartbreaker against the Los Angeles Lakers last night. It's a back-to-back. But again, you guys know how I like to do it. If a team has not been covering spreads, has not been winning games, say you've missed a couple in a row, I'm going to be that guy to back you on that third or fourth. And me personally, I do think this game sets up very well for the Pacers. I do want to see Halliburton in, and if you're one of those people who you need Halliburton in to make that bet, definitely wait and see what happens with this line. But for me right now, I'm definitely with the Pacers getting the points.
Yeah, we're in agreement here. I do lean the Pacers as well. Kings without the De'Aaron Fox this season, they're 1-2 straight up, 3-0 to the under. They're only averaging 104 points per game in those spots there. So their offense really is kind of struggling in those games there. If we look at trends, right, Kings as road favorites, they have been playing well. All those games, though, had De'Aaron Fox. Again, on the road, following a road win, they're playing well there. 5-2 ATS, 7-2 to the under, though. But they're not scoring a lot of points there, but they are covering the games. But again, all those games had De'Aaron Fox in there. One thing that I did notice with the Pacers on the second leg of back-to-back games, they are scoring at a high rate, even though they're not covering. They're 5-5 ATS, 7-3 to the over. So the trends on the over/under opposite of the Kings there. But if you look at the Pacers as home dogs, this is where I feel like this is where they play well. 9-8 straight up, 12-5 ATS, 10-7 to the under. To the over there. For me, I think Hallie does end up playing. I think one thing that you mentioned that made a lot of sense to me is that he played a lot more minutes than we expected. That tells me that his conditioning is on point. And he talked about it himself right after the game yesterday. He felt good, but he felt like he played like trash in the fourth quarter. So I feel like this is a game that he comes back and comes out pretty motivated to have a good game against a De'Aaron Fox-less Kings, right? They're not going to have that point guard there to really. I feel like a Hallie versus Fox matchup would have been really great for this game here specifically, just because they were teammates recently, right? That they have. I don't know what the reason was for trading Hallie, but he was such a big piece of that team, even as a rookie, right? Even since he joined as a rookie. So to me, I think there was some bad blood there, and that would have made this game a lot more heated. But for a little bit, for a little of the back and forth that they had in recent games, matchups, I feel like this is a Pacer spot here. But I do want to wait until I hear Hallie news, because I want to get the best of the line. But whichever way it happens, if he doesn't or if he does, I feel like Pacers is still the play. I think De'Aaron Fox missing for the Kings is such a big piece for them. Even if they do go through Sabonis there really isn't no other facilitator. Every other point guard is either a score first point guard or a defensive minded point guard. No one really a facilitator or someone that could pass from the mid range. Because Fox, to me, he's not. I wouldn't say he's like a deep threat. He's more of a mid range guy, sort of like Kyrie, so in that type of sense, right? He's a slasher and also can shoot the mid range ball. So none of the other point guards can do that, and that's a big piece that they're missing there. So I would lean the Pacers there with you. From a prop perspective, I think everybody's going to be on Sabonis, Matt. Do you think there's someone else that they could run to? Because maybe Sabonis's numbers will be over or like sort of inflated, right?
Yeah, I think Sabonis is definitely going to have inflated numbers with this being kind of the revenge narrative spot. I think Tyrese Halliburton will have inflated numbers on top of that if he does play in this game. And, the books are going to adjust. They know that these are revenge spots. They have these narrative spots that the people are going to get behind. So they're going to inflate their numbers. And there's no doubt that Domantas Sabonis is fully capable of going out and having a good game. But Miles Turner is also a solid defender from the 5 position. If anything, I would look at Sabonis assists maybe. I think because he's going to be the primary facilitator, getting that ball out of his hand. And one person that I'd be looking at here is actually Kevin Huerter. I think Kevin Huerter is one of those guys who actually does carry a lot of the usage when De'Aaron Fox is out. To your point, Ron, when Davion Mitchell comes into that game, Davion Mitchell really isn't that type of point guard who gets the offense going, who attacks the basket, looks to facilitate, things like that. Once in a blue moon, he does come out and do that. But to me, the guy who's actually going to be creating the offense with Domantas Sabonis, I think will actually be Kevin Huerter. And Kevin Huerter is one of those very streaky shooters on top of that. He was playing very good early in the season, cooled off a little bit. And I think this is a very good matchup for him. He's probably going to be going against Buddy Buckets, Buddy Hield. And if you've watched Buddy, Buddy don't play no defense. So Kevin Huerter is going to have a very solid matchup. He's going to be able to get out there and attack. So, he's one of those low-key, under-the-radar guys that you can definitely cash some tickets with. And I don't think his line is going to be inflated whatsoever just because of how he's been playing basketball as of late. And again, he's someone very capable of going off and getting 20 points, 25 points even.
Yeah, even I remember for a long period of time to start this season, he was shooting like 50% from three-point range. So he is very capable of picking it up for Fox there. That's a good point. That might be the way to go for props here because Sabonis, I feel like, is going to be really inflated. Let's move on to our last game, the Hawks and the Jazz. Coming off of that outright win, the Hawks are versus the Suns in Phoenix. This is the first leg of back-to-back games with the Nuggets on deck. So I wouldn't say it's a look ahead, but the Nuggets are a team that a lot of teams want to play up against because they know that they're one of the top-tier teams in the league. Third of a 5-game road trip. So they've been traveling for a little bit. Actually, 11 of their last 15 games have been on the road. So they've been traveling a lot. And that started early January. The Jazz, they've won and covered 2 straight games, third of a 5-game homestand, so they haven't had to travel at all. They don't play until Monday either. They got extra rest going into their next game, so this is a spot here where they can pretty much give as much energy as they want against a tired team. Maybe that could be the edge that the Jazz need here. The Jazz did win and cover the first matchup, 125-119, as 4.5-point dogs, and I think from a trend perspective, a lot of things to me, I feel like is pointing towards the under. This total is high, 242, I believe. And we talked about the 240s being going under a lot lately. I believe it's like 16 of the last 17 240 totals have gone under. I think this is another situation that goes under. Hawks, they're 4-3 straight up, 2-5 ATS on the second leg of back-to-back games. And if you look at them with a total of 230 or more, they're actually 0-4 ATS. They're averaging 117.2 per game, allowing 121.8 per game. It's really close to the 240 mark, but we're seeing 242 here. So there's still an edge to the under. And as dogs with a total of 240 or more, they're 3-0 to the under. So they've already been struggling to reach that 240 mark when they're set at that number. The Jazz as home favorites of less than 6 points, 4-6 straight up, 2-8 ATS, 6-4 to the under. They're struggling offensively in that spot as well. If you include that they just have 1 day of rest or less, 1-5 straight up and ATS, 4-2 to the under. They're averaging a combined score of 236 around there, 235, 236. So a lot of things to me says that this total is a little bit too high. I would think that the under is in play in this one. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I totally agree with you on the under there. I think that's a great look for sure. That's something, this is kind of a new trend that me and you have been discussing, and it's been very successful so far. On the week alone, I've bet it 3 times, 3-0 with it, and I'm going to probably continue it today because basically my magic number is 242. If anything is 242 and, there's some signs pointing to that under, I roll with it because the fact of the matter is with a 242-point total, even if 2 teams are scorching fast, even if 2 teams play very bad defense, you have to play damn near perfect basketball for 4 quarters offensively from both sides for this to hit. And, both of these teams are very inconsistent. I understand with the Atlanta Hawks, a lot of these games seem very, very high scoring. But the fact of the matter is this is a Hawks team that's still very inconsistent, and this is a Jazz team that's still very inconsistent. And, with the Utah Jazz, they've been running Walker Kessler at that center position, and I actually think he's far better defensively than Kelly Olynyk or whoever they had in there before. So for me, I think they get a little stronger down low. The Hawks team, they have Clint Capella back, and he's slowly getting back into his defensive side of things. So for me, I understand. I do think this game will probably hit the 230s or so, but 242 is just a very high total for me. It's tough for me to get on board with that with almost any team. And, with the game earlier that we talked about in which we took the over with the Hornets and Pistons, that's just a completely different scenario. That's a lot of the trends point to the over in this spot. And for me here, again, magic number is 242. Anything with 242, I'm going under with it, and I would definitely agree with you here, Ron. But for me, I'm actually eyeing a couple player props in this spot. I think there's two players that I'm definitely looking at in this spot, and one of those guys is definitely going to be Trae Young. Trae Young in this matchup, I can see that floater being very big here because the Utah Jazz like to run that drop defense. So when Trae Young runs that pick and roll, what I mean by that is Walker Kessler will come out and meet him, but he will then drop to the basket, okay, to defend that alley-oop to Clint Capella, John Collins, whoever it may be. That's why I see that float game from Trae Young being very, very important and probably one of the things that he's best at on top of that. To add to, for the Utah Jazz, when guarding the point guard position this year, they're giving up 26.52 points per game. That is third worst throughout the NBA. So once again, I think this is a great spot for Trae Young to get out in that pick and roll, get his offense going against this Utah Jazz team who also does give up a lot of points. And then on the other side, when I look at the Utah Jazz, something that I have to look at here is Lauri Markkanen. Lauri Markkanen has been absolutely balling, could potentially win the most improved player this year. He's doing it with points. He's doing it with rebounds. And once again, this is a Hawks team. This Hawks team is third worst throughout the NBA in terms of guarding power forwards. And then on top of that, they actually give up the second most rebounds per game to power forwards on top of that. Last time Lauri Markkanen faced the Hawks, he had 32 points and 8 rebounds, crushing probably any total that he had. And I could see something very similar here because this is a Hawks team that is not very disciplined against the power forward. They're not very good at closing out the three-point line, which is where Lauri Markkanen is very good. And, I like John Collins. I think John Collins is very good in the post and things like that. But when he actually has to come out and defend you at the three-point line, he's not nearly as strong as when he's around the basket. And that's where Lauri Markkanen is able to kind of take you out and expose you. So for me, I would definitely be with you, Ron, here with that under 242. But the two props that I'm looking at tonight on top of that is Trae Young points and then Lauri Markkanen points plus rebounds.
Yeah, I mean, that. What do you think about Markkanen's? Did you say 3-pointers too?
I did not
What do
say
you think
the three-pointers. I think that would be a good look, though, because, again, that goes into my John Collins narrative, how he's far weaker coming out to defend you at the three-point line than being around the basket.
Yeah. You would probably want to pull him out there, and also if Walker Kessler's in there or any other bigs, they're able to get the second chance points. So I think that might be another look there. I think Markkanen might be out there, kind of just pulling John Collins out. Yeah, so that's it. I like that. I like that look a lot. Like I said before, though, I don't play a lot of player props, but when you break down these games, it just sounds so easy sometimes. I feel like I need to get into the player props market there.
With the Hawks, real quick, too, I mean, this is a team giving up 10.93 rebounds to the power forward positions. They're damn near – I mean, they are. They're not damn near. They are averaging a double-double to the power forward position every single game. So, again, it's a really good spot for Markkanen.
Yeah, well, I was looking at it a little bit more because I wanted to get more support on this under. I was looking at Hawks against teams that they lost in the previous matchup. So sort of like their revenge game, and they're on the road. They're 4-2 to the under. But one thing that I did notice is that they give up a lot of offensive rebounds in those games. In a 6-game span, they're allowing 13 offensive rebounds compared to having 8.5 offensive rebounds. So they're giving up a lot of second chance points there. And that's the reason why they're not covering in that spot either. But for the most part, they're still going under. And in 3 of those games in that spot as well, in those revenge games, they were a total of 240 or more, and all 3 went under. So yeah, a lot of support here for not only the under, but also your player props as far as like the rebounds and the power forward position. It makes a lot of sense to me. So I like the looks that we've had today. That is 3 games down that we've been able to break down. Now it's time for the best bet section. Matt, let's start with you here. What do you got going on the premium side as well?
Yeah, guys. So basically the way that I do it is I come out, do the show. Right after the show, I go and load all of my plays. I've been running about 2 plays a day. I've been kind of narrowing it down to my favorite plays. Had a very successful week where I believe we're 8-1 on the week right now. Bounced back beautifully. And we're also 2-0 on our best bets. And we're looking to get those brooms out for the clean sweep. And I talked to you guys about that Hornets and Pistons game. If you've been watching the show, you know I love these uptick matchups with teams like the Hornets, teams like the Kings, Pacers, all over the place. But for me tonight, we're actually going to be going with Terry Rozier over 22.5 points. And again, we talked about this spot earlier, and I think it's a great spot for Terry, and I think it's a great spot for LaMelo Ball as well. And I think the majority of the people are actually going to be going with LaMelo Ball, and because of that, his numbers might be a little high, a little inflated, and the perfect pivot is Terry Rozier. Rozier has hit this number in 6 of his last 10 matchups and is in an amazing spot against the Detroit Pistons here. Rozier is averaging 21.7 points per game on 19.5 shots, and we're in a game now that has a 241-point total and are with 2 of the top-paced teams throughout the NBA. And, again, this is a great spot for Terry Rozier to hit his over due to the fact that the Pistons are 29th throughout the NBA in points allowed per game, while also giving up the 28th most field goals and are 29th in field goal percentage. So the Pistons are essentially absolutely brutal all over the place on the defensive end, again, making it a great spot for Terry Rozier. This is also a spot when you're facing the Detroit Pistons, you never have to worry about a switch, because with the Pistons, they have 3 players in the bottom 10 in terms of defensive efficiency throughout the NBA. That's Jaden Ivey, that's Bojan Bogdanovic, and that's Sadiq Bey. So again, if any switches happen throughout the court, he's still good. Terry Rozier still has an optimal position. He can go to the basket. He can get into his motions. He can get into his rhythm. The pick and roll game is going to be very big here too, because the Pistons struggle so hard at guarding the center position. They're actually one of the bottom 5 teams in terms of guarding the center position on top of that. And, I think all of this backs Terry Rozier tonight, and then in terms of the averages on the season when point guards face the Pistons, that backs it as well, because on the season, this Pistons team is giving up 25.21 points per game to the shooting guard on 5.53 assists and 3.15 threes per game. These are huge numbers for the shooting guard position. As we know, if you've watched Terry Rozier, he's a very streaky shooter. So if you give him some easy looks around the rim, if you give him some easy looks at the free throw line, anything along those lines, he's going to get it going. And I think that's exactly what happens with the Detroit Pistons tonight. They're not very good anywhere on the defensive end. I think LaMelo Ball is going to get a lot of the attention, especially after that big-time triple-double that he had 2 games ago. So because of that, I think Terry Rozier is actually going to be the guy that goes out and leads this Hornets team potentially in scoring tonight. And I think he goes over this 22.5 points here. So the best bet for today is Terry Rozier over 22.5 points. Let's get this bet and let's get those brooms out.
Let's go. Yeah, I like how you pivot off of the best player or the best on each team when you do your player props, because a lot of players or a lot of bettors are going to go straight into like the best player on the team, and that number gets inflated. So I like how you pivot to the next guy whose numbers aren't as inflated. I think that's a really good strategy, not only from a prop perspective, but also from a side and total perspective. You can always look at the board and see which game everyone's going to be betting on and where the numbers will get inflated. So I like when you do that. I think it's a good strategy. As far as for my best bet here, I'm going to the Suns and the Celtics here. The Suns are coming off of that huge loss to the Hawks. I think they lost by like more than 30 points there. The Celtics, they've won their last 2 games. They're coming off a game where they won by like 30 plus points here. And if I look at the trends and angles here that for this game, that it's pointing me towards the over. Suns as road dogs, they are 9-4 to the over. When in that spot there, they're only 3-10 straight up, 7-6 ATS, but they're giving up a lot of points there in that spot as road dogs. Suns on the first leg of back-to-back games, opposite on the trend side, as far as straight up and ATS, they're 6-1 straight up, 5-2 ATS, but they're averaging 120 points per game in that spot. If we look at the Celtics, they're doing well at home versus non-conference teams, 10-0 straight up, 6-4 ATS. They're scoring at a high rate in their side. 2 things that I'm seeing is basically the Celtics being able to perform offensively at home, and also the Suns being able to perform offensively on the first leg of back-to-back games a little bit better than the books expect. The Suns are coming off of a big loss, like I mentioned earlier. So what I did was look at how they do following losses of 20 points or more. 4-1 to the over, averaging a combined score of 236.2 points per game. We're seeing a total of 224.5 tonight. And another thing that I looked at, the Celtics, like I said earlier, they won by 30 points the other day. That the following game, They've only done this one other time this season. And the following game, they flew over the total. They beat the Heat 134-121 with a total of 224.5. So I think they let down defensively on their side a little bit. And on the Suns, after a big loss, they perform well offensively. So things pointing in towards the same direction here as far as the over. I believe that the totals actually come down a little bit more. So the more it comes down, the better value we have. Yeah. So it opened at 227.5 down to 220. When I see a big steam down or up 5 to 7 points, it's time for me to look the other way. I think 220 is a good spot for you to get some buyback on the over there. So that's the way that I'm looking. As far as the premium side, I do have a look in college basketball. I haven't posted anything on the premium side yet, but I do have one solid look on the college basketball side that I want to look further into later on. That might make the card. And also the NBA card. I know it's an ugly card today, but I might have 2 to 3 plays in the NBA as well to post. And I do have a promo, an all access package for 30 days for $179. The promo code is access30. I'm going to have some soccer plays up this weekend. I'm going to have some UFC this weekend. I know Matt does UFC as well. I actually, not even just UFC. We got Bellator. I feel like the Bellator card, Matt, you might be able to talk about this too, but the Bellator card seems like it's a lot better than to this week's UFC card. I think the UFC card to look ahead to is next week's. But yeah, a lot of stuff going on for the next month or two. As far as all access, there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, we still got the Super Bowl. So I think that is the way to go here, the all access. And even look at that Super Bowl to Super Bowl for everybody, that Super Bowl to Super Bowl all access pass for everybody over at sportsmemo.com. That's just a reminder to head over to the site every single day. We got the live odds page. We got deals and packages going on from all the handicappers over at sportsmemo.com. With that said, man, that's the end of the show. Matt, I hope we close out this week on a strong note. We have been sort of on fire here, even dating back to last week, not even just this week, but best bet's been hitting since last week as well. Hopefully we continue to do that for the viewers here. Hopefully the viewers got some good information to help them make their better betting decisions as well. Any last comments before we close out this week?
No, man, like you said, we've been running hot. I believe my best bets I've been tracking over the last 25, and I believe I'm 19-6 at this point in time over the last
That's
25.
Crazy.
So,
that is crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So even if you don't like any of the other plays, take our best bets. They've been absolutely smashing. Me and you have definitely been getting a really good feel for these slates, and it's been a great time just coming on, breaking it down with you, with people in the comment section, everything like that. So, guys, we greatly appreciate you. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and let's hit those bets tonight, and we'll see you on Monday.
Yeah, with that said, we will see you on Monday, same time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard on this channel. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button before you go as well. Till then, good luck with all your action this weekend. Peace.
Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at wagertalk.com, and all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.